Long before the great empires of the world rose to power, one land was already writing history. Turkey is not just a place where civilizations pass through. It is the land where many of them began. From the earliest temples ever built to kingdoms that shaped the ancient world, this soil has carried the story of humanity for more than 12,000 years without pause. Carved into cliffs, buried under mountains, and hidden in quiet valleys, ancient remains still whisper the lives of the people who built them. Let's travel through time and uncover some of the oldest, grandest, and best preserved wonders that Turkey has protected for thousands of years. Mount Babadag holds the Panara Cliff necropolis, rising straight out of the rock. Hundreds of tombs are cut into the cliff face, stretching nearly 700 meters like a giant honeycomb suspended in stone. Some visitors say the necropolis looks like an ancient apartment block frozen in time. For the Lycian people who built it, death was never truly the end. It was simply another form of life, sealed forever inside the mountain. Mount Nemrut stands in Adıyaman, among the tallest peaks of the Anti-Taurus range. King Antiochus I built a massive funerary sanctuary at its summit in the final decades before the Common Era, placing himself on equal footing with the gods. Two grand terraces at Mount Nemrut, facing east and west, hold colossal stone heads of deities and rulers. On the eastern terrace, a lion, an eagle, the king himself, and gods including Zeus, Apollo, and Heracles greet the sunrise, just as they have for over 2,000 years. The western terrace at Mount Nemrut holds similar figures, though time has left them more weathered, along with the famous Dexiosis reliefs showing the king shaking hands with the gods. Sagalassos sits high in the western Taurus Mountains, perched roughly 1.5 kilometers above sea level. The Antonine Nymphaeum is Sagalassos's most breathtaking structure, a monumental fountain built from Apheion marble. The Antonine Nymphaeum blends Roman craftsmanship with statues of Marcus Aurelius, Faustina, Dionysus, and the nymphs. The Hadrian Nymphaeum honors the emperor who once ruled the region, while the Neon Library is covered in mosaics and once symbolized the city's intellectual life. The Heron Monument at Sagalassos is decorated with dancing figures and victory wreaths, near a mountainside theater that once seated 9,000 spectators and remarkably intact Roman baths. Mersin hides something entirely different in its cliffs, the reliefs of Adam Kyalar. 19 human and animal figures at Adam Kyalar rise from the rock, carved beginning in the 3rd century before our era, forming an open-air gallery above the valley. Men, women, children, a mountain goat, and an eagle all appear together at Adam Kyalar in scenes whose meaning is still debated. Reaching Adam Kyalar requires descending a steep, rugged trail on foot for the final stretch. Göbekli Tepe captures Turkey's ancient mystery more than any other site. Göbekli Tepe was built by hunter-gatherers roughly 11,600 years ago, predating even the pyramids by thousands of years. Stone circles at Göbekli Tepe, each believed to represent a community's totem animal, are covered in carved snakes, foxes caught mid-motion, and wild boars in dramatic hunting scenes. The best preserved circle at Göbekli Tepe holds some of the oldest carved figures ever discovered, including a vulture, a snake, and a spider. For anyone curious about the earliest chapters of human civilization, Göbekli Tepe is where the story truly begins. Ishak Pasha Palace stands toward the eastern edge of the country in Dağbayazıt, built on a rocky plateau 2,000 meters high. Construction of Ishak Pasha Palace began under Kulak Abdi Pasha in the late 17th century, blending Ottoman, Persian, and Seljuk architecture. Near Ishak Pasha Palace stand the ruins of a fortress dating back 2,800 years to the Urartian civilization, and the centuries-old Old Bayezid Mosque. Ephesus was founded by Ionian settlers around the 10th century before our era, near modern Izmir. The Temple of Hadrian stands along Kirit Street in Ephesus, admired for its elegant Roman facade. The Library of Celsus is the true centerpiece of Ephesus, its facade rising nearly 20 meters, once housing more than 10,000 scrolls, with 4 statues representing wisdom, knowledge, intellect, and virtue. The terrace houses of Ephesus reveal how wealthy Roman families once lived, with private courtyards and mosaic floors. The Great Theater of Ephesus once held 25,000 spectators, while the smaller Bouleuterion hosted council meetings and performances. Archaeologists believe only about 5% of Ephesus has been uncovered so far. Myra lies south along the coast, known for temple-shaped tombs carved into the rock in the 4th century before our era. Columns and reliefs on the Mera tombs suggest the people buried there held high status in Lycian society. The ancient theater of Myra remains one of the best preserved Lycian structures anywhere. Its acoustics still functioning beautifully today. A fortress rises in Afyonkarahisar, atop a volcanic rock more than 220 meters high. The Afyonkarahisar fortress traces its earliest defenses to the 14th century before our era under Hittite King Mursili II, and was later captured by Alexander the Great before passing through Byzantine, Seljuk, and Ottoman hands. Reaching the summit of Afyonkarahisar fortress today still requires climbing hundreds of stone steps. The Pontic king's rock tombs in Amasya watch over the city from towering cliffs. 21 tombs stand at Amasya, 5 of them linked to the Pontic dynasty, including the 15-meter tomb of King Pharnakes I. Pergamon rises high above the surrounding plain, crowned by the Temple of Trajan. The theater of Pergamon once seated 10,000 people on one of the steepest slopes in the ancient world. The Asclepieion at Pergamon served as a famous healing center, where patients were treated with water, music, and dream therapy. The Red Basilica at Pergamon, built under Emperor Hadrian, houses a striking lion-headed statue of the Egyptian goddess Sekhmet. The Konos tombs of the kings are carved into steep cliffs above the river, near Dalian in Mugla. Despite their name, the Konos tombs likely belong to nobles rather than kings, and are best viewed from the water below, one of the most striking sights in the region. Eflatun Pınar stands near Basir, a sacred Hittite water monument from the 13th century before our era. Reliefs of the storm god and the sun goddess dominate the center of Eflatun Pınar, crowned by winged sun discs, typical of Hittite art. Openings throughout Eflatun Pınar once functioned as fountains, distributing water across the sanctuary. Hattusa lies in Korum province, the ancient Hittite capital and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The King's Gate of Hattusa ranks among the finest examples of Hittite defensive architecture, while the Lion Gate is guarded by 2 massive stone lions carved in the 14th century before our era. The Sphinx Gate of Hattusa features human-headed, lion-bodied guardians, while the underground passage known as Yerkapi hints at long-forgotten religious rituals. Yasilikaya sits just northeast of Hattusa, an open-air sanctuary holding detailed 13th-century reliefs of gods, goddesses, and King Tutalia IV. Among the Yatsalikaya reliefs is a striking procession of the 12 underworld gods. Hierapolis was once famous throughout the Roman world as both a pilgrimage destination and a place of healing. The Gate of Frontinus welcomes visitors to Hierapolis with triple arches and twin towers. Frontinus Street was the main avenue of Hierapolis, once bustling with shops and bathhouses. The Plutonium is the most mysterious site in Hierapolis, a cave linked to Hades, god of the underworld, where toxic gases once convinced visitors they stood at the gateway to the dead. The Cleopatra Antique Pool remains a favorite attraction in Hierapolis, its warm thermal waters flowing over Roman columns toppled by a 7th century earthquake. The Grand Theater of Hierapolis once held more than 10,000 spectators for performances and gladiator contests. Dara stands in Mardin, a fortress city founded in the early 6th century to defend Rome's eastern frontier. The vast necropolis of Dara, carved into the surrounding hills, reveals centuries of shifting burial customs. Enormous underground cisterns and water channels at Dara show the advanced engineering that kept the city alive. Perge stands near Antalya, our final stop, where round towers mark the city's 3rd century northern gate. The Perge Stadium once held tens of thousands of people for public events and trade. The Perge Theater showcased 3 stories of elaborate Roman stagecraft, and the circular Macellum Market organized the city's daily commerce. From the world's oldest temple to grand Roman theaters, from sacred mountain sanctuaries to cliffside tombs, Turkey holds a story that has never stopped being told. Every stone here carries a memory, and every ruin invites us to imagine the lives once lived among them. Which of these ancient wonders left the strongest impression on you? Let us know in the comments, and stay with us for more journeys into the world's most incredible ancient civilizations.